I was being very serious in my other video when I said any of the remaining sides in this tournament can lift the trophy. None of the so-called favorites have done enough to stand out above the rest of the pack in such a way that would isolate them as the clear frontrunner in contention for this title. The World Cup Under-20s is entering the quarterfinals. 2/3 of the teams are gone. The final home stretch is here, and we are into serious business now. These quarterfinal matchups are pretty difficult to call. All four of them. But I make predictions anyway. I said before, a little while ago, youth level championship tournaments are more difficult to predict than senior national squad tournaments because the gap in quality is much more narrower. Upsets are more sporadic, less sporadic, and much more volatile. But I'm going to get predictions anyway. And I could be wrong on all four of these games, guys. That's how close this is to call. Well, jumping right in. Uruguay-Portugal, the match I thought was going to be the final. I have to stick with Uruguay. They were my pre-tournament pick to win this thing, and I cannot go back on it now. But they do not look very convincing, and their attacking prowess up front has not been living up to the name that they've been known for when they won the South American Youth Championship. Portugal has had one good game this entire tournament. 4 games, the only game that Portugal looked like themselves was the round of 16 clash against South Korea. So it begs the question, is the Portuguese team of the group stage is going to show up? Or has this side finally gelled together into a formidable championship contender team? I don't know. I don't think this is going to be a high-scoring game. I don't know too much about these two sides. I don't know too much about under-20 lineups in general. My comfort zone is analyzing men's senior national squad, so my knowledge on under-20s is relatively limited. Going off of intuition, educated guesses, and what has been transpiring so far in this under-20 World Cup, those are the 3 things that I use in my predictions. And, to be honest, my predictions, for the most part, of this tournament have been pretty decent. Not great, but pretty decent, somewhat on track as well. And I'm content with that. I got a majority of the round of 16 matchups correct in my last prediction video. So I'm going to try to get 3 out of 4 correct here. Portugal and Uruguay. I like Uruguay's defense. I got a soft spot in my heart for defensive-minded teams. They haven't conceded a single goal in this tournament so far. But they also have been struggling to create chances up front. Will Portugal exploit that? I think they might. But I can't go back on my pre-tournament pick now. I am predicting 1-1 with Uruguay grabbing a late winner in extra time. I think Uruguay's defense will get them through. I think Portugal has been very suspect at the back this entire tournament season. So I'm going with Uruguay to go through 2-1 on extra time. In extra time, excuse me. Then we have Venezuela and the United States. I think this match is not as settled as many would think. The U.S. will be having several of their suspended players returning from the New Zealand round of 16 clash. Venezuela was pushed to extra time by Japan. Yes, the United States have had 2 days less rest, but given the way that they performed in that New Zealand game, if you watched that, I don't want to disrespect New Zealand, but it was almost as if the U.S.'s best side were giving a resting day. During that match itself, I saw the highlights of it. It was an utterly dominant performance. Japan were the better team in the round of 16 clash with Venezuela. They created the most chances to go ahead, unlucky to find the back of the net. Venezuela needed extra time to put them away. But I think Venezuela will win. I just think South American opposition is the last thing the United States needs right now. We struggled in the group against Ecuador. We had to come from behind to tie that game. Could have won that game if not for a horrible goalkeeping error, but I digress. And Venezuela is one of the two best sides in South America, the other being Uruguay. I just think Venezuela is going to be a little too strong for the United States. And I think Venezuela will win. I'm using the same scoreline again. I think 2-1. The United States will break Venezuela's clean sheet that they've had, their clean sheet run they've had in this tournament so far. The U.S. will get on the board. We will score, but I just think we're going to lose 2-1 in 90 minutes. So yeah, 2-1 loss for the U.S. The other game, England and Mexico. Mexico, like Portugal, really has not shown up in this tournament. They've not been playing at their best. They almost dropped points in the group stages against Oceanian side Vanuatu. Traditionally speaking, when Mexico plays to its full potential, they are one of the best sides in the world at the under-20 and under-17 levels. If they turn up, they'll beat England. They will beat England. But I don't know if that's going to happen. And you look at England, they struggled against Costa Rica in the round of 16. But I just have a feeling. I just think Mexico is not going to find their footing. They're not going to up the ante. They're going to continue the same poor run of form that they've been on since the 2015 under 20 World Cup a couple of years ago in New Zealand. Which is unfortunate because I do think Mexico at its core is a championship caliber side. But I think England will scrape through. This is another match I think is going to extra time. I see 0-0, and I say England grabbing a winner, 1-0 in extra time. Then we have Zambia and Italy, and this is the hardest one for me to call. Primarily because Italy knocked out France in the round of 16. And I said this before, and I'll say it again. That Italian goalkeeper, I don't know what the hell his name is, but he has been world-class this tournament. Go look at the highlights. The best goalkeeping in this tournament has come from that Italian guy. Italy is a side that does not concede many goals. Zambia is a side that gives away way too many set pieces. And they don't know how to defend. Zambia is a high-scoring side, but they're also a side that has been conceding a lot of goals against Germany, against Iran, and they really should have lost to Costa Rica by more than one. They were fortunate that Costa Rica didn't put away their chances in the group stage. So Zambia is a very high-octane, physical, fast, strong endurance stamina side, and all of their goals in this tournament, most of their goals have been absolute wonders. But I just don't trust their defense. I don't trust Zambia's defense. And I think Italy is coming off that win over France with a lot of confidence, a lot of belief they can win this thing. They pushed Uruguay to the brink in their group stage. I just think of the 8 teams remaining right now, Italy is probably the most underrated side that nobody is paying attention to right now. I think they're going to be more defensively disciplined than Germany were in the round of 16. Germany almost defeated Zambia. Zambia required extra time to knock off the Germans. I'm not worried about Zambia coming into this match having played a game in extra time because their players are just so speedy and so technical, and the stamina they have is just incredible. So I think they're going to be full of loads of energy for this encounter. But I just don't see them preventing Italy from getting on the score sheet. Part of me wants to pick Italy here. Or part of me is compelling me to pick Italy here. But I'm biased, guys. I want to see an African side in the semifinals. That hasn't happened since 2013, I think. I was about to say 2009, but I remembered Ghana finished in third place in 2013. Screw it. I'm going to pick Zambia to come through. And I think the semifinals are going to be Uruguay against Venezuela and Zambia against England. I think those four sides are going to get to the semis, and I'll predict those games when the time comes.